Hello, this is Julie. Welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. Appreciate you so much. It's a sizzling hot summer. This episode, I really wanted to sit down and chat with a sales director who I admire a lot. And one of the things that I like so much about her is her quest for learning and developing. And her name is Jessi, and she finished thoroughly the Grow Selling Senior Living Workbook. And how I know that is she sent me screenshots along the way. She would text me and she would text me her progress, and she diligently worked her way through, and she sent me updates as to not just doing it, but what impact it made. And I thought, oh, you know what? I have to have her on the show. I'd like her to share with you all the impact that forward to the fundamentals. We say back to the basics a lot, but I'd like to look at it more like forward to the fundamentals and what impact committing and recommitting to ourselves makes. Hear it from somebody who's doing it, who did it. She's gone from 0% to 96+% occupancy. She's been at her community since the beginning. So she is doing it in real time. Jessi Barton, hope you enjoy the episode. This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Yardi. The Yardi Senior Living Suite combines resident care, marketing, sales, finance, business intelligence, pharmacy, and operations, all on a Cloud Forbes 100 ranked, cloud hosted HIPAA and SOX compliant software platform. The suite of products is single stack, uniting on a fully integrated platform. It offers intuitive functionality that helps provide the best care and improved health outcomes across your communities. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, and today I'm joined by wonderful Jessi Barton. Jessi, how are you?
Great. How are you doing, Julie?
I'm really great, thank you. Jessi is a community relations director at an assisted living and memory. Are you IL?
Independent. Yes, independent, assisted, and memory care.
Independent, assisted, and memory care community. You're the community relations director,
Correct.
sales director for this community, and you're based where?
We are in North Georgia, just at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains.
And is that where you're from?
It is. It is. I'm from a town about 20 minutes north of here, but when it's small towns like this, you're from the area for sure.
Okay. So you grew up in a small town.
Absolutely.
And you work
Very
in a small town, and a real small town. So just kind of know everybody.
Know everybody. My grandfather used to joke we were related to the rest of the people that we didn't know. So that made it interesting. I couldn't get away with anything.
Gotta be real careful, I think, growing up in a small town, right? If everybody knows, I kind of like to get lost in the bigger town. Do you like if I go to the grocery store and I'm like the one that wants to put a hat on and I don't even know anybody, you must go and feel like a celebrity.
We used to have to plan a couple of hours to go to the grocery store just because you knew you were going to run into people. It's changed with the growth now, but I have become more of, like you, and that get in, get out. So.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, we got to plan a couple hours. It's a social, like the social hour. I love that. Well, Jessi, you and I have known each other professionally for a handful of years. I know you're a community relations director. You're a professional who, from my perspective, has always invested in yourself. You have high standards. You want to learn and, forgive the pun, but grow. You've engaged in coaching yourself. I know you've reached out to me in the past. You're very diligent about your outcomes. And to recap, you've been at this community since lease up, right?
Yes, I was the very first employee. Our independent wasn't even groundbroken. Our assisted in memory care was just kind of a shell. So it's been fun to watch it go from literally dirt to full of life.
As in full, you are, I know there's always, there's fluctuating and based on all those dreaded outs, but you've really grown that with that team. You've grown occupancy up near 100%, right?
Correct. We reached in 18 months because of the fabulous team that we've got. Obviously, we've got to have a good team on the backside. So, with that team in place, with the residents' satisfaction, we were able to grow to 95% in 18 months.
Fantastic. Woo woo,
Absolutely.
kudos, kudos.
Thank you.
So today I wanted to ask you, pick your brain a little bit, and the topic today really is some of your feedback around the selling the Grow Selling Senior Living Workbook. Okay, so this is a workbook that I put together for people like yourself or new. It's not how to sell. It's not a training manual, but really a workbook to support, right? It's so important to document and to support and be aware. I mean, there's a lot of science behind when you write it down. It's like writing down goals and things we are more apt to meet them or because they're right in front of our face. So when we're writing it down, it's more like there's no magic just because we wrote it down. It's visible, it's in front of us, so we're likely to make it a reality. But you, in particular, were a person who communicated with me about your journey in using the workbook. And it got me thinking maybe your journey would help others because you've gone from 0 to 95+% in 18 months and continue to challenge yourself to stay highly occupied. Why is someone like you super successful? Why did you even start this? Because I mean, do you really need it?
So, I will say that over the last few years, in growing professionally, I realized that I don't know everything there is to know. I think when we start out, we think we know everything that there is to know, and we don't need to learn from anybody else. But there's so many um, wonderful mentors in the industry, such as yourself and people I've connected with on LinkedIn, that I realized there's a lot more to learn. And then stepping into a lease up from communities that were already established and had been there for years, it was a new challenge, one that I thought I could handle, but realized that maybe I needed to get some mentoring and some leadership and to grow personally and professionally. So over the last couple of years reading your books, so I knew when the workbook came out that it would just be a great tool to have in my arsenal of ways to help myself grow.
I admire that so much. I admire that. I
Thank
just
you.
bought the 10X is better than 2X book. So I relate to that so much and I admire that. So what was most helpful? Because I know you've texted me, through and you showed me screenshots and it's so inspiring, but I understand what was most helpful in doing this.
So it came. So your workbook found me at a time that we had just been given everything that we had here to try to get full as quickly as possible. And with that giving everything comes some burnout. And so your workbook found me at a time when I was um, really just burnout in the role, burnout because it's an emotional job because you do take on the emotions of the families you help. And so I was at a crossroads of, gosh, can I keep physically doing this and emotionally? Um, I do think that it was showing in my efforts as well. So when we're burnt out, we're not giving our everything. And I think tours were even picking up on it. And I look back now and that just hurts my heart that I had let myself get to that place that people were coming for help and maybe my own situation was prohibiting me from helping them the best they could. So the first thing that truly made a difference for me was like chapter 1 and then doing that self check, you know, checking in personally, where are you at? And I think I sent you the screenshot of the 1 to 10 and everything was on the low end. And fortunately, we had a short vacation planned. And so I took that awareness of, gosh, I'm at the low end of everything. And with that awareness, really reflected on my vacation time of, if I'm going to do this, I have to give it my all. I have to take breaks for myself. And gosh, this workbook is a great way to jump back in as if I was starting from ground zero. So that was the biggest impact when I first got the workbook.
I do remember you sending that to me and the check marks being low. Low meaning that, you're how motivated or how refreshed am
Right.
I, how your yourself. I'm staying on top of your mental game of focus, organization, and discipline and desire to grow, all of that. And I recall you saying, gosh, I do need that self-reflection is so important and a gift that I'm glad you gave yourself. It's not, I think it's a great reminder for definitely for me and hopefully people listening to this too, that it's we all need that, and then you're to stop and say, I think I'm burned out. And that certainly has affected, not intentionally, but
Sure.
affected other people. I need a reset, and that no one can do that, right? For anyone else, it's something that we only you typically, or I shouldn't say typically, but I would think more common is we're burned out, so we're going to quit, or we're going to just screw this and or whatever. And you are not unusual in that burnout. We all feel burned out, tired. We're going. You like you said, you. It's like running. That proverbial running marathon. You've got to take a break, but it's like, when am I going to take a break? Because it's always the push. So it sounds like you did a bit of a reset, and this was a catalyst. Like, oh, wait a minute. So that
Yeah.
just kind of resetting. What else was helpful?
So it helped me reflect on, yes, this is the industry I want. I loved your marathon story, where you remembered your why. And I really had to think, why do I want to do this? And I really do love what I do. It's a passion. It fills me. So knowing that, yes, this is the industry I want to be in, um, I just kind of used the workbook going forward. I love the chapter on the calls, that it's not personal, because every time I hang up with somebody who maybe had a tone or told me no, I'm like, oh, what did I do wrong? So just reminding me that it's not personal. And I don't have it marked right off the top of my head, but the checklist for the phone calls where you're checking.
Oh,
So I would set a goal. Once I read that chapter, I was like, here's a way I can jump back into my database and really get the activities caught up that I got behind on. And so I would set that goal. I'd make my 20 marks each day. And it was a competition with myself to see, okay, how many calls can I get made? But more importantly, how many of those calls, of those 20 calls a day, how many am I connecting with and reconnecting with? And it just inspired me to reconnect with people, usually, and I don't believe in coincidences. Usually, when I would connect with people, they were like, I'm so glad you called me right now. Here's where we're at. So, working through those calls, I was able to increase from a one move in month to four move ins, with two of those move ins being from my cold calls of catching up my database. Over a year old leads got moved in.
wow. You're referring to, it's kind of like old fashioned, right? Of a way, and I put a little sticky note or image sticky note in there of going forward to the fundamentals, right? Instead of we say back,
Yes.
but forward to the fundamentals of this. Okay, I'm picking the phone up 20 times today, and so you just kind of put 20 little check marks, and then or whatever you did, and then check. I remember you sending me this image. Check, and you cross it out. That's was I used to do this, and I still have different way to do I have a calendar, I've got virtual, I've got Outlook, I've got to use platforms. I'm very much on digital, a CRM. When I hear, yeah, it's all, I put it all in the CRM. Good, excellent. But there's
Right.
something about this. It's like I use that glasses of water. Like when you're not, the there's even bottles now that have notches along the bottle where it says you're all when then and you can see how much you're drinking, and you think, do adults really need to have something that, well, yeah, and they have stats to show, like, if you've got one of those and you're showing or like my daughter has one that's it's like walking around with a gallon or something, it's so huge that she knows when she drinks all of that. It's like that. It's like if it's in front of you like this, how many times did you really pick up the phone? And then the impact,
Sure.
the impact that makes on the bottom line. Two of your move-ins from colder leads. You went from a 1 to a 4 move-in month. Is that coincidence? Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so instead of using the sticky notes like your graphic in the book, I have a daily calendar. So it's got all my appointments on one side and my tasks that I need to get done, but then the other side's kind of a free jotting down journal area. So I'd put that in there. And so what I have found is the days that I'm struggling to pick up the phone, because we all have those days. Let's just be honest. We have those days we don't want to pick up the phone and be told no again, or told, I don't want to talk to you right now. Again, don't take it personally, but we have those days. And so being able to flip back through that calendar and remind myself of those successes made me want to pick up the phone again, because it reminded me that the marks that were connected calls was somebody that I ended up helping in some way or another. They may not have moved into my community, but they may have needed resources at that time. And I was able to connect a gentleman with some home care because he could not make a move for his wife, and it wasn't going to be a fit for memory care anyway. So I was able to connect him with resources that he so desperately needed. He ended up calling that home care company that day. So we're here for a reason, and the business can get in the way sometimes of our emotions for it. We have to mind the business still, but we also are here to help people, and we have to have that break for ourselves. We tell caregivers all the time, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. We have to do the same.
That circled you back to your why, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Doing a simple task and you did it through your daily calendar, but you literally, I mean, the picture that you sent me was literally putting it on paper,
Mm-hmm.
and not, you didn't look at it as a bunch of check marks. You look at it as, look at the impact, Jessi, look at the impact I made. And
Right.
yeah, that then brings you back to your why, which has got to be motivating, because
Absolutely.
that's the definition of the why, is that, why the heck am I doing all this? Why am I picking up this phone? If
Right.
I don't want to.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Um, it's so well, gosh, it's you put things so succinctly, and that uh, I hope is really resonating with people listening. I can't imagine it's not. What is there anything else that was helpful to you, or anything else you wanted to point out?
So I started each morning with a chapter, and I love that they're just short chapters. So before I started my task for the day, I read through the chapter and did the exercises. So it was really helpful to me, um, to mark down learning the ratios. How many calls are you making? What's your inquiry to tour? What is your connection to move in? So those kind of things, I was able to look into my CRM, jot those notes down, and be able to compare it every 90 days. So I really liked that. Just overall, it was a great reflection, gave me points to think about that I had not thought about before, and then allowed me to work real examples that I'm working with.
You are knowledgeable about your CRM. You've been doing this job for many years, specifically at the community you're currently in for how many?
3.5.
Okay, okay. So you are very knowledgeable, you're very aware, you're in your CRM, yet tracking a conversion in pencil and paper, if you will, being maybe brought extra awareness to it. Is that fair to say?
I would say so, because you really, we glance at it on the home screen every day and it's like, yeah, I see that. But when you start writing it down, I just think that something about pen to paper, pencil to paper connects with your brain a little bit more than just seeing it on a screen. So really understanding, oh, this is why I'm doing this the way I am. These are why we want to make those connections, because this many connections get this many tours in the building, and this many tours in the building help us get this many move-ins a month. When you just see it on a screen and you're not actually working through what those numbers mean, it's easy to just overlook it and see that it's just a statistic.
What is, this is a two-part question. What's one thing, one metric, one data point that you feel it's your opinion that is everybody should be tracking with hyper awareness?
I think you need to be honest about how many inquiries you're actually connecting with,
Okay.
because that connection is where the gold is. That connection is where the relationship begins. If you're not able to connect with that person, are you doing the right steps? Are you reaching out to them in the right ways? But if you're not making that connection, the door never opens to anything further, such as getting them in the building, connecting them with resources they need, getting that move in.
And so, to be clear, when you say connection, you literally mean a conversation.
Conversation, be it
Okay.
sometimes we're in a new phase. When I first started senior living, it was wild to me that people wanted to text about this kind of a move, but we are in a phase where that happens every day. So whether it's a text back to you, a call back, or a call connected when you make that
Yeah.
call out, even an email back in.
Got it. So when you say connection, you don't mean you literally mean the connection, not deep emotional connection, which is also important.
Right.
You're saying no of your total leads in your database, how many have actually communicated, whatever mode you've actually
Right.
made this connection. That's a lot of people don't track that. It is important. We need new leads. We need new leads, my thing. And when new leads are great, you can have 100 of them. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're not connected with them, even to, like you said, offer resources, maybe you have to lose lead them. They fall out because maybe financially there's just an absolute gap that can't be, there's bridged, if you will, or they're medically unqualified, way,
Right.
real, but you made that connection. That's great. What advice for anyone listening in your position, or maybe an executive director, or any in sales, marketing, senior living, what advice would you give someone who might be at any stage, but maybe they are feeling it's summertime, or they're maybe a little frustrated or burned out, or like, gosh, I'm doing the best I can. What more can I do? Or gosh, I'm seeking to improve. What advice would you give?
So I think if you're at the point that it's a hassle to make your calls, I'm doing all I can. I think that's an opportunity for you to say, oh, I need to self-reflect. If I feel like I'm doing this, check your numbers. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. So if you feel like you're doing the best you can, check yourself. You know, it's okay to admit, I let myself fall off. I know when I came back from vacation, I admitted to my executive director, you know what? I don't think I've been giving it my all. And he even noticed that change. So if you're at that point, I think it's a good time for that self reflection. And just like we want caregivers that have heart for the residents, check your heart. Are you in this to do a job? Or are you in this to help people? I think it's both, but check your why. And then if you want to keep growing, there's so many great people on LinkedIn. There's so many great companies such as Grow that has great coaching programs. I know that my coaching time with you was invaluable, and I use your tools on a daily basis. So reach out to people, find a mentor, find if you're weak in an area. I'm super weak in outreach. So find somebody that's really strong in the area you want to learn about and be open to their ideas. It can't be a, well, this is how I've always done it mentality.
Great advice. Great advice. Jessi, you are someone I really admire, and I am so appreciative of you joining, sharing your journey. I think so many qualities that you have that I admire. I think it really stems a lot from certainly your desire, your determination, but your vulnerability. We that there's strength and vulnerability, and that isn't always easy. That's not an easy place. Vulnerability, that by definition, right? We don't want to lean over, the canyon with just a rope in front of us in case, we fall and we feel vulnerable.
Right.
Feeling vulnerable, we don't want to, so we protect. And then professionally, we, kind of put up walls, or like you said, I already know, all right, but gosh, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I is it fair for me, or gosh, I'm nervous to go to someone, or I don't, maybe I'm just, maybe it's not something that people really feel comfortable, or even acknowledge, but that vulnerability, that we don't, that there are so many opportunities, and that we each of us have weaknesses, right, or areas of growth. And I admire that, and I really appreciate you sharing your journey.
Yeah.
Appreciate well, I appreciate you working through the workbook and sharing your journey with us, with me. I really love senior living, and I love the professionals that are so dedicated like yourself. And so your team is lucky to have you. Your residents are lucky. Your
Thank you.
prospects. Um, and I appreciate all of you all for listening to the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. If you are so inclined, there's Selling Senior Living Workbook, or like Jessi said, there's loads of resources. We at Grow are here certainly to meet you where you are. But jump on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of free resources as well. This podcast, our quarterly webinars. I know, Jessi, you've joined
Mhm.
a couple. Thank you all again so much. I hope you have a wonderful summer. Get a chance to chill out a little bit in this heat.
Yes.
And I will talk to the rest of you hopefully on our next episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. Thanks, Jessi.
Thank you, Julie.
This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Yardi.